Welcome to Democracy Pulse, a fireside chat produced by the Oslo Center, Semabox, and supported by the European Union. My name is Kaleche Mumo, and we're excited to be part of this three-side chat that is going to be focusing on the 16 days of activism. And remember, this year's theme is gender equality and ending violence against women. Through these conversations, we're hoping that you will be able to see different ways where we can bridge that gap and begin to actively end violence against women as we promote gender equality. We want you to talk to us. We want to hear from you. So please do drop us a message on our social handles on all platforms at the Oslo Center, hashtag the Democracy Pulse, hashtag 16 Days of Activism. Please talk to us, start to bring out the conversation. Let us know what your feedback is on these conversations. Now, I have an amazing panelist starting us off, and she is the founder of Goal, Girl, and Boy Africa, which is a foundation that focuses on mentorship for teens, that is both boys and girls, as they transition into adulthood. And she's been an advocate for young people's initiatives. She's been mentoring girls who are affected by gender-based violence. And at the same time, she is a communication and social media strategy consultant who is excited to share her view as a Gen Z. Welcome, Florence Ayoo.
Thank you.
It's lovely to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
And, as a young person,
Yes.
What was your decision, even just working with teens? And, I'm imagining what their perspective is on gender-based violence, because we're talking about younger Gen Zs, we're talking about, Gen Alphas who are transitioning.
Yes.
What do they understand when you talk to them about gender-based violence?
So it is a very hard question to break down because as a young person, when you start looking at gender-based violence, it's something that really you don't even relate with it. Because as a young person, young people tend to resonate with things that they see. Like as a young person, things that matter to you are gender-based violence is not one of them at all.
It doesn't feature in their mindset.
So exactly. So most of them, when they come to the first time they interact with gender-based violence is when they see they hear about it. They see actions of what's happening, but they cannot actually put it in the context that this is gender-based violence. But they can see that this is a woman who is being beaten. They can see there's a woman crying somewhere. They can see there's some kind of things happening in the society, but they cannot really categorize it as gender-based violence. But they're seeing the actions that are taking place. So when they grow up, they'll be like, oh, when they start having this knowledge about gender-based violence, they're like, oh, so that thing was happening, that was gender-based violence. And you see they tend to, the first experience they have with it is how they see their mom and their dad relate. The family, they see how mom cooks, they see dad does this. So when they see there's a bit of mom gets punished for coming home late, dad gets mad when mom
does something that he considers wrong, for example.
Yeah. So I think that is how young people understand it.
That's how they understand it. And so because you sit in a place where you are helping these teens bridge into adulthood, that gender-based violence seems to be a reality for us now. It's in the system. It's part of things that happen. And as much as we may not want it to happen, it is a reality. And so when you've had your experience with these teens in this foundation that you have, what kind of ways are you educating them? What are some of the systems that you put in place to educate them? Because I know you have been mentoring even the young girls affected by gender-based violence. So how do you actually talk to them, knowing that they may not be able to distinguish what they are calling punishment versus the fact that it is a violation to their parent, the mom, if an instance happened in the home? How do you communicate this so that they understand it?
Well, so most of the time, the first thing is sensitization. We make them aware that there's something called gender-based violence. and we really get them to understand the context, like how it happens, the different types of gender-based violence. And this one, we have small groups. We have, because like you can see, the organization deals with both boys and girls.
Yes.
And we were created differently. So in that manner, I believe we actually complement each other as different genders. So most of the time, it's very hard to have genuine conversations, because not the way women react to things is not the same as the way boys react. Correct. Or men react to things.
Yeah.
So we have initiatives, or we have programs that we only deal with young girls, and we tell them, this is where, these are what your rights are. So we get to partner, because you could fighting GBV or passing this kind of information to these kids, or rather these teenagers, you cannot do it alone. So what we do, we also partner with the organizations that are involved in this space, so that we actually give them the first context of giving them the right information of what gender-based violence is, so that they can understand it from as young as they are.
Yeah.
Yes. And also the same that happens to boys. We tend to, because you understand that boys, they tend to see what their parents,
the father does. And they will mimic him.
Yes. So you understand, most of our growing up, the patriarchal norms. So they tend to grow up with, either they grow up with that mindset and it's rooted while they're still young, or they get lucky, for lack of a better term, to understand the parents, or rather dads, who have been empowered to also start empowering the young boys at a tender age, and tell them these things. They start sensitizing them at a family level, at that unit. So it's basically that.
Yeah. And I think one of the most important things when it comes to the way you're dealing with gender-based violence education is that getting the boys involved to understand what they can and cannot do.
Yes.
Because a lot of entitleism is going on right now. There's a lot of entitlement, especially among our millennials and Gen Zs.
Yes.
And it's a question of, if I'm inviting you out for lunch, for dinner, then you owe me your body.
Yes.
And it's my right.
Yes.
And you're a Gen Z, so you can tell me, dating today is something totally different.
It is totally different.
Yeah. So with that perspective, I think I love that you are speaking to them when they're young, because how they think, how they communicate is tied to where their values are ingrained.
Of course.
From a young person.
Yes.
So speaking as a Gen Z, what are some of the gaps you would say you have seen in the policies around gender-based violence, and what can be done better? Because the Gen Z voice is actually very loud and we love it. I think you're the ones who are going to change the world for us as it is today.
Absolutely. That's
and so from your perspective, where do you see the gaps in terms of some of the policies and how they're being implemented?
This has been said in so many forums, and I'll keep repeating it, that Kenya, we are on a top-notch level on policies, on reforms. We have the best laws, we have the best ideas, but we are actually stuck, to do at the implementation stage. So for me, that itself, it's a gap. Adding more policies to the policies that we have that have not been implemented. That is what are we doing exactly?
So we need to find how to implement them.
Yes. And implementing these things, especially for we need to identify. Of course, there are research that are being done on GBV. We need to identify which groups are the most affected people, and which groups can represent these people. What policies, have been in place that can be tried to help curb the situation. You understand? So I think for me, that is the only thing. We need to implement those policies.
That exist.
We need to go back to the books and see how can we implement these policies and help curb this menace.
Yeah.
You understand?
And so even just looking at your own life, because I think it's very important for us to have a connection with gender-based violence from a place of, I've either seen it happen, I've either experienced it, or it's been so close to me. And I know, with the girls that you have been walking through, sometimes it can get really close.
Of course.
But have you had any personal experience before? Just generally, have you ever had any experience? And then maybe you can tell us how witnessing this kind of things has affected you as a young unmarried woman, as you move around, mentally, emotionally, because I think sometimes we don't understand the effects. And one of the things that people say is, Gen Z, you're young. You people, what do you know? But you witness these things, you see it, you've heard about the stories of femicide. Some of them are so horrific, How has that affected you as a young person?
Well, sometimes I'm in so many groups of femicides. We are in groups of women advocating for GBV. And when they send photos or videos before opening, for me, I pray first. Because just watching another woman being abused, for me, it really...
It cuts deep.
It cuts really deep. It gets me really emotional, gets me a lot of anger, and I'm like, which society are we still living? Like, what do you mean? Why are they doing this to women? You understand? And I tend to resonate like this. Women, it doesn't matter how you dress. It doesn't matter where you are at what time. It doesn't matter what you are doing. Because women, the moment you see a young girl, a young university girl, getting affected, or rather being involved in cases of GBV, let's even say femicide, the first thing they'll always ask, what was she wearing? The first thing they'll also ask, it's normal nowadays because university students are very vulnerable because they, at university level, I think it's more of a transactional relationship. Because of the hard economic situation, it's more of they're very vulnerable to exploitation.
And the minute somebody brings money their way.
Yes. And remember, these people they're not really mature. They're not, sometimes even making decisions by themselves. It's not easy. So personally, I can say I have experienced it. Secondarily, yes, because while I was in campus, you could see young girls and young boys that dating in campus, they'll fight. And for me, it will ring a bell. Like, there's something that needs to be done. These people, they're drunk.
Like, this fight is not normal.
Yeah, it's not normal.
And you're two people who don't come from the same home. You don't have any blood that's flowing that is the same. Where did you reach that you would have to fight? Walk away. Yeah.
So, do you another thing that I would love to say? Do you know that most of the people that are perpetrators of GBV are our intimate partners?
Yeah.
And I'll urge to the girls, the policies are there, the implementations are there. But I will tell these girls, because at campus level, I will still be a voice to many people, many young girls in campus. And I will tell them, the moment you make love cover all this, it's you will suffer. And the society outside there is very, harsh to university girls, to young girls, because of the stereotypes that are there now for young girls. So most of the people that have experienced GBV have been caused by people they're close to. And that is something we also don't want to address. People that you could find, apart from lovers, we also have the close relatives, your uncle, your dad. Tell me, if somebody at a campus level, or just look at this experience when you are a young girl in class 7, or let's just put it in first year, and your dad or your uncle has molested you, who do you go to? In this, what do you do right next? Now? What do you do right now? You'll just sink into depression, keep quiet about it, become gay, hate men, be very toxic. And then you're going to live with it like that, or you're going to pass it to your child when you have it. So I feel like it is the society versus young girls when it comes to this. And that is a conversation that people don't want to talk about. I don't know whether I'm answering your question.
You are, because, I mean, at the end of the day, we have to look at it from a realistic point of view. And you're the young girl here, all right? And you're the one who just, you finished campus, you know what you saw. You and Maseno.
Yes.
And you know what you saw.
Yes.
And majority of the times, we would be quick to say, okay, young girls, also style up. And I am a firm believer in style up. If you're looking at somebody who's ahead of you and where they are in life, great, but they worked to get there. If you ask me,
of course,
I didn't wake up like this.
Of course.
I worked to get here. I did my time, and we're not at the same level. I am a Gen X. I'm almost 50. You are a Gen Z. So you see there is an age difference. So for you to be where I am, you have to work to get where you are.
Yes.
And I get that.
In another angle, just because we are still focusing on the Gen Z issue, Gen Z has a lot of things to do with technology, has a lot of things to do with social media. Like life now, we are not going to run away from it. And most of the young people they will go to social media and they'll just write. You'll see them recording videos of themselves crying and trying to write a story of what happened to them. But people outside there will not take them seriously. And I feel like people should now, when you're fighting these GBV issues, people should be very sensitive to what young people are posting online. It is very advisable that you go look for your daughter, follow them on their socials. Even
so
on,
if you notice something.
Yes, just if you notice something weird, just
because that's how they communicate.
Yes. That is how
that's how they communicate.
we have the confidence to express ourselves online using our social media platform more than in person. So I think that is a platform that really should be explored by any person, anybody who is in this space, so that we don't lose young people. Yes,
because it's true that you say that, because recently I was part of another forum and we were talking about tech-based gender-based violence.
Yes.
Okay, just look at it from a tech perspective.
Yes.
And this is people who will be trolled for being a woman, will be sexually abused, will be, I mean, if sometimes I look at my DMs and I'm like, Lord, help us, because the things that some men will send me and write to me will be ridiculous. And me, I'm a master blocker, but not everybody is like me.
Yes,
I'll just block you and move on, right? And it affects young
you imagine
girls.
the confidence of some of you putting out your story out there, where you don't know who is going to comment. You don't know, you're meeting all people. You're exposed to the world. You understand? So there's that aspect of our young people expressing themselves to these social media because they feel safe. They feel like they're interacting with audiences that maybe out of 10,
there's also that thing of people who don't know me.
People who don't know me.
So I feel I can tell them more than I can tell people who know me. But how can we help you realize that maybe you're safer talking to someone you know? Like you in your capacity as a young Gen Z woman, how do you feel safer talking to me, a stranger, or talking to your cousin, your sister, somebody who you can tell what you're going through? Which one do you feel safer?
Yeah, so I'll take it back to the programs that you're doing at GGB. I noticed that from my own experience, everything that I know, everything that I do, how I talk, how I communicate, how I interact with anybody, it started when I was a very young girl.
Okay.
The values or the principles that were instilled in me by my parents, after they thank you to my parents.
Yeah.
They started while I was young. So it is very important not to wait to start these conversations at university level. Let us not ignore young children. Let us not ignore.
Because they're smart.
Yeah. Let us not ignore them. Let us start it from that. Say that is the time you say, "Mommy, my little angel, when you have a problem, please talk to me," and create that as atmosphere. Let it not just be like, "Talk to me, I'm your mom. Why are you not talking to me?"
No, it is a relationship.
Yes, let there be a relationship. Let us hug our parents. Let there be, that kind of beautiful relationship. The trust.
Actually, the trust.
Exactly. Yeah.
Where you know that if anything happens that is different from everything I've taught you, I am your first call. Because we have a lot of young people calling their friends and their friends don't care. I don't know. It's different. I mean, when I was in my 20s, as Gen Xs, we took care of each other. There's no way we could have gone out somewhere and then you're telling me I'm going with this guy I just met, and I say, I have fun. Because I don't want to be at your party pooper and I don't want to kill your vibe. Okay. I will kill your vibe dead. I will finish it. I will grab you, even if I have to carry you, but you're not going home with a person we don't know.
Thank you.
That's my generation. Your generation seems to be very, I don't want to spoil your fun. I don't want to be, the person that
I don't want to interfere with your space. And what you want.
But I'm wondering, where does that come from? Where you feel like we just want to be allowed to do what we want? Because not to say that we get ourselves into these situations, but it is true that sometimes you need people who can be your rock, someone who's you're accountable to, someone who will call you out for your nonsense, and you actually hear them.
Yes.
Is that something that happens among the Gen Zs?
It's happening, but I would say that is a problem.
Okay.
And that needs to be fixed.
Okay.
As young people, we cannot say, yes, we are smart as Gen Zs, we are all educated, we know our rights and all that. But at the end of the day, we are still young people who need direction. So at the end of the day, we come up with these creative ideas, we know all those kind of things, but let us not forget, we don't have the experience. We are, we need the wisdom, we need to be guided. And at the, we need, we cannot say we know it all.
Yes.
So I think we need this counseling. There's a way we just have to curate this counseling, programs so that we get to tell these people at the end of the day, you know it all, but I am your parent, I am your guidance. Whatever you are going to do is wrong. So this is something that we need to start talking about in the society, and it's time for Gen Zs to just listen. You just have to listen.
Because I think that's a wise thing I've heard from our Gen Z guys, that you need to also listen, because we were there too. We thought we knew it all, but we didn't. And right now, the times we're in are totally different, because by the time it's not just only our physical contact, gender-based violence, there's also tech-based, meaning that someone will start violating you on your phone.
Of course.
And you're not just supposed to just keep quiet and take it.
Yes.
You need somebody who will tell you how to handle it.
Yes.
And even with the work that you're doing, at least, with the young people, I hope you're also teaching them how to handle themselves online, because that's a big facet.
That is a big,
What are some of the things you're doing?
Okay, well, technology is here with us in every aspect. There is the issue of technology, and we cannot avoid it, because at the moment somebody has a gadget, you cannot monitor everything unless you Google, unless you really want very important information. But at the moment somebody has their phone, there's nothing you can do about it. You don't know who is on the other end. They're meeting or all kind of that. So what you could do is just, I'll still insist, we need to embrace this counseling initiative, but let us not do it the old school way of counseling.
Tell me how we should do it.
Let us do it let us get these young people and start the conversation. Like, you need to listen. We need to have a dialogue.
And so young people speaking, like, you're an older Gen Z.
Yes.
But you are now speaking to the younger Gen Z and the Gen Alpha.
Yes.
And therefore, you're closer in age to them, and they can now listen to you.
Yes.
So we need more people who are, you finished campus, going back quickly to start speaking to those who are first years, who are just beginning, to those who are in high school. Because I think the conversations need to start earlier because of where we find ourselves today.
Yes. And also not forgetting, there is this issue of our life, the social media lifestyle. Every young person wants to be a socialite. Every young person, it's all bad to be a socialite by now, but it comes up with a lot of if you're not doing it right,
there's some side things that nobody tells you about.
Exactly. and of course, Gen Zs, they look beautiful. They're all smart. They look good on camera and all that kind of stuff. And of course, that is something you can pursue, but you really have to be careful and guided through. So that is why I'm saying we need a collaborative effort from all this generation, and come all people. Let us think together. This is what we used to do, and it worked for us. Now you're in a different generation. What can we do for you? Yes.
To make it
please
easier?
Let us be honest and we have this conversation, because at the end of the day, no one is coming to save us. It's either we save ourselves or we sink and die. So it's somebody speak out, find out the solution, and have these real conversations as young girls. And that issue of girls are the enemies of girls, or women are the enemies of women. I just want to urge, if you're listening right now, please block
talk to your camera.
Block your ears to that bullshit. I call it bullshit. Sorry for using that. Yes.
Okay. I mean, there's a lot to be said about how we approach things. I mean, recently there's a post that I saw that went a little bit viral.
Yes.
Where the mentality, obviously coming from the West into African spaces, and because of tech, we see it and we want to absorb it.
Yes. And
this was a young American girl who had, I wouldn't say young, she's dating age. And she had written a post where she said a guy, approached her on the dating sites and wanted to take her out. And she asked him to send her money to fix her nails so she can come on this date. And he said, sorry, no. And she said she blocked him. And so this person who posted it here in Kenya was asking, like, okay, am I missing something? It's a dude. And he was like, why on earth would I be sending you money for nails? What I found interesting about it, because I am all about, I have worked hard to get where I am. these nails, I get them done me myself. So if I meet you today, why should I now stop making my nails and tell you to make my nails? So I said, this is nonsense. I mean, Kwani, before you are not going to look nice for, are you doing your nails for a person or for yourself? I like to look good.
Yes.
It's about me.
Yes.
If you like how I like to look good, good for you. But you don't have to be involved, right?
Yeah.
And so when I posted that, of course, a lot of men were like, hey, you know, you're now our ambassador and what. And I think I was a bit oblivious to the fact that there's actually a lot that the boy child is going through where he's being asked to fund things. Then in my head, I was like, guys, but you're not her father. Why are you funding her? Okay?
Yeah.
Then I got attacked by the women. And the women said, then they should not be quick then to ask us for our bodies. And I said, when you are offering it?
Was it an exchange?
Why was it on the table in the first place? It was never meant to be on the table.
Yes.
Because why? Because he sent you money for your nails and bought you food, then you are only too willing to sell your body. And I think that's where that fight comes from against young women.
We have the societal pressure, the social media pressure, and then we have people making videos of, oh, my man does for me this. Look at my boyfriend doing for me this. And you see people, that is also something about just counseling and guiding ourselves on what content we should consume and just scroll and pass.
Because at the end of the day, okay, good.
Yes.
You're a young girl and you have a boyfriend who does A, B, C, D, and whatever for you. But where was it written that that's what makes a relationship? You know, I tried to have this conversation just this past week with some young girls. And I asked them, are you in the relationship because you enjoy the conversation, the mental stimulation, and the way this person pushes you to be better? Or you enjoy the things the person buys for you. And said, yeah, but now if they didn't buy for me, you know, that's my love language. I said, that's not a love language. Of being bought for things is not just the love language. And it's also earned.
Yes.
You know, it's earned. So I get it if someone wants to buy you something nice. You have friends.
Yes,
you have family.
Yes.
They buy you gifts every day.
Not every day.
Every week?
No.
Every month?
No. On special occasions.
Thank you.
Yes.
Your birthday, Christmas. Really, if we're pushing it, it's now when you achieve something and you are getting a gift because you got to pass your degree, blah, blah, blah.
Yes, yes.
Now, those are the people who primarily love us from the ground up, do or die.
Yes.
Blood is running in your stream that is the same in their stream. Now, if they don't buy you a gift every other week, you call them and they tell you, let me take you for dinner, let me do. So this is a stranger?
Yes.
What's going on with your generation?
So it's either we're going to get men who will provide all these things with expectations.
Yeah.
And if you fail to meet the expectation, they will kill you. And we will bury you.
Yes. And so I think the mentality also needs to change. And this is not to say that we are now saying that it's your fault, but we're also saying that we also have to be smart. There's nothing in this world that doesn't have consequences when your mindset is not involved.
That is true.
Yeah? Yeah. So I think for me, that's one of the things that I am so adamant about. Like, what are we teaching? And even as, to you as you teach in your foundation, that it's good to learn to fend for yourself. Nobody owes you anything. It's something that I think your generation, maybe they don't know. I mean, I know mine.
Yeah.
Nobody owes me anything. If they do end up doing something for me, that's favor. And I should be grateful.
Yes. And you're responsible for every decision that you make.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And nothing comes free. Everything has,
it has a consequence. There's a consequence. There's a consequence.
It will come immediately. It will come later. And, so I think,
So as we wrap up, what would you say then is the way forward for young women, especially in influence such as yourself, to amplify the conversation on ending gender-based violence? What should they do?
Well, for us to have this conversation, there are groups, there are women who have dedicated themselves on the advocacy space to say no. Whatever is happening to women must stop. And we are standing, whether we are being called names, whether we are being, whatever the society will label us, we are not going to stop. So first of all, it's that we should have the confidence of calling it out.
Yeah.
Of speaking
Out.
up. That is
speaking
it.
up.
That is the first thing.
Number one.
Speaking out. And then we continue this kind of advocacy. And after we get the attention, the right attention that we need, that include the leaders, the parliamentarians, that include implementing the policies that already existed.
Yeah.
You understand me?
Yeah.
We now, we focus on that.
Yeah.
You understand me? So, and then we now look at the trends. That is the technology bit of it. So first thing is speaking out, serious advocacy, and making this advocacy reach the right audiences that can change things in the country. And then now looking at the new trends, because things happen different in different
ages. And they change very fast.
Yes, and then now we end it up at collaborative stage and dialogue. And then I think we're going to have a good society. And at collaborative stage, we're going to have all the stakeholders from church to schools, institutions, to marketplaces, to the border guys, everybody. We need them here so that we collaborate and have a safe space for all our daughters, all our women, all our sisters. We need a safe space for every girl to thrive. And especially the young girls. Maybe the older ones, things might have happened, but we have souls to save.
Exactly.
We have young people.
If it happened to you, you don't want it to happen to the girl who's following you. I mean, really, we have a responsibility.
And it's a strong foundation to start doing it at that age.
Because it will impact their lives the way they think.
If people having conversations about LGBTQ at a certain age, through movies, through all that kind of stuff, why did they stop producing movies to
gender-based violence?
Yeah, so the same thing can still happen. We need to bring it back.
And I think that's a nice place for us to end it, because we still have a host of amazing women who we are going to be inviting here to ensure that we make sure we have the right fit and understanding of what it is we can do better to end gender-based violence and violence against women in specific. We hope you're inspired. We hope you are enjoying the conversation. Thank you so much, Florence, for taking the time to have this conversation and add your voice as a young woman, because indeed we are looking at this from young women and women with disabilities, because that's the audience that is really, really getting targeted with gender-based violence. If you are inspired and you want to talk to us, please reach out on all our social media platforms at the Oslo Center, and please use the hashtag The Democracy Pulse and hashtag 16 Days of Activism. A big thank you to the European Union as the supporters in creating these amazing fireside chats. And they are produced by the Oslo Center and Semabox. I am your host, Kalechi Mumo, and I'm excited to see what our next few conversations are going to be like. See you on the next episode of The Democracy Pulse.